The UES Defiance dropped out of hyperspace with a flash of blue light. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair, watching the stars settle into their normal patterns on the main screen. The journey from Earth had taken 3 weeks, and his crew was ready for a break. "Navigation check complete, sir," said Lieutenant Amy Collins from her station. "We're at the edge of the Zephyrian sector, just like planned." Morrison nodded. "Good work, Amy. Let's see what's out here." He turned to his communications officer. "Any signals in the area?" "Yes, sir. Picking up several transmissions. Looks like there's a trading station about 2 million kilometers away. They're using some kind of alien language I've never heard before." Morrison smiled. This was exactly what Earth Command had hoped for when they sent the Defiance on this mission. First contact with alien civilizations was always exciting, even if it was just routine patrol work. "Take us closer, but keep our distance. We don't want to scare anyone." The Defiance moved through space at a steady pace. It was not a large ship by human standards, just a destroyer built for long-range patrols. Its hull was dark gray metal, designed to be tough and practical rather than pretty. Weapon ports lined its sides and sensor arrays stuck out like thorns. To human eyes, it looked like any other military ship, but to the aliens watching from their trading station, it looked like death itself. Admiral Vextar was enjoying his morning meal when the alarm started screaming. The tall, thin alien dropped his food and rushed to the command center of Zephyr Station. His blue skin turned pale as he looked at the displays. "What is that thing?" he whispered. The station's sensor operator, a small creature with 6 arms, was shaking as it worked the controls. "Unknown vessel, Admiral. It appeared from nowhere. Look at these readings." Vextar stared at the data. The ship's energy output was unlike anything in Imperial records. Its hull seemed to absorb sensor beams instead of reflecting them. And those weapon signatures, they were unlike anything the Galactic Empire had ever seen. "How big is it?" Vextar asked. "About 800 meters long, sir. But the power readings suggest it could destroy our entire station with a single shot." Vextar felt his blood run cold. In all his years of service, he had never seen anything like this. The Galactic Empire had ruled this part of space for 1,000 years. They knew every species, every ship design, every weapon type. This vessel was completely unknown. "Send a message to Imperial Command immediately," he ordered. "Tell them we have a hostile unknown vessel in our space. Request immediate backup." On the Defiance, Captain Morrison was puzzled by the lack of response to their peaceful greetings. "Still no answer to our communications?" he asked. "No, sir. They're definitely receiving our signals, but they're not responding. I'm picking up a lot of chatter between the station and what looks like other ships in the system, but I can't understand any of it." Morrison frowned. "Maybe they don't have translation equipment. Amy, take us a bit closer. Let's see if we can get a visual." Signal going. The Defiance moved closer to the station. As it did, panic spread through the alien facility like wildfire. Families grabbed their children and ran to escape pods. Merchants abandoned their goods and fled to the docking bays. The station's defense systems came online, though everyone knew they would be useless against such a powerful enemy. Ambassador Krill Tak was in the middle of negotiating a trade deal when the emergency broadcasts started. The small furry alien listened in horror as reports came in from across the sector. "Unknown warship of incredible power has entered Zephyrian space. All civilian traffic is ordered to evacuate immediately. Military forces are mobilizing for possible invasion." Krill Tak had spent his entire career working to keep peace in this region. The Galactic Empire was built on cooperation and trade, not war. They had not faced a serious military threat in centuries. Most species in the Empire had evolved as prey animals, learning to survive through cooperation and hiding, rather than fighting. But this new species, these humans, they were clearly predators. The ambassador immediately sent a message to the Imperial Council. "Emergency situation developing in Zephyrian sector. Request immediate diplomatic intervention. Unknown. Species may be hostile." Back on the Defiance, Lieutenant Amy Collins was getting worried. "Sir, I'm detecting multiple ships moving toward our position. They're keeping their distance, but they're definitely military vessels." Morrison stood up from his chair. How many? At least a dozen, sir. More arriving every few minutes. Morrison walked over to the tactical display. The alien ships were surrounding them but staying far away. Their formation looked defensive, not aggressive. They're scared, he realized. They think we're here to attack them. Should we move away, sir? Amy asked. Morrison thought for a moment. No. If we run now, they'll think we're planning something. We need to show them we're peaceful. He turned to his communications officer. Keep sending our greeting message. Add some basic mathematical sequences. Maybe they'll realize we're trying to talk. Dr. Lisa Rodriguez, the ship's xenobiologist, had been studying the alien transmissions. She approached Morrison with a worried expression. Captain, I think we have a problem. Based on what I'm hearing, these aliens seem to think we're some kind of invasion force. That's ridiculous. We're just one ship. Yes, but look at it from their perspective. We appeared suddenly. We're not responding to their communications in a way they understand. And our ship probably looks very different from anything they've seen before. Morrison looked at the main screen where dozens of alien vessels were now visible. More were arriving every hour. The situation was getting worse, not better. Sir, the communications officer called out, I'm getting reports from across the sector. It sounds like they're evacuating civilian populations and mobilizing their entire military force. Morrison sat back down heavily. This was not how first contact was supposed to go. Earth Command had trained them for many possible scenarios, but not this one. How do you convince an entire alien empire that you're peaceful when they've already decided you're a threat? The answer, Morrison realized, was that you probably couldn't, not easily anyway. As the UES Defiant sat in space, surrounded by an ever-growing fleet of alien warships, Captain Morrison made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. All stations, prepare for extended diplomatic operations. We're not leaving until we sort this out. In the Galactic Empire's capital, emergency sessions were being called. The most powerful military leaders were being summoned, and across 1,000 worlds the question was being asked, who were these humans, and what did they want? The galaxy was about to find out that sometimes the most terrifying thing about humans was not their weapons or their ships, but their stubborn refusal to give up when they believed they were doing the right thing. The Imperial Command Center on Galactic Prime was in chaos. High Counselor Zarthan stared at the holographic display showing the Zephyrian sector. The unknown vessel sat in the center of a growing circle of Imperial ships, completely motionless. How many ships do we have surrounding it now? Zarthan asked. 47, sir, replied his aide. More are arriving every hour, but none of our commanders want to get too close. Zarthan could understand why. The reports from the scene were terrifying. The alien vessel's hull seemed to drink in sensor scans. Its energy patterns were unlike anything in their databases, and most frightening of all, it showed no signs of fear or retreat despite being vastly outnumbered. What do our scientists say about the species? Zarthan asked. An elderly advisor stepped forward. The preliminary analysis is disturbing, High Counselor. Based on their ship design and behavior patterns, we believe they may be apex predators, the first such species we have ever encountered. The room fell silent. In the Galactic Empire, nearly every intelligent species had evolved as prey animals. They had learned to survive through cooperation, hiding, and peaceful negotiation. In the concept of a species that had evolved to hunt and kill was almost unthinkable. Meanwhile, on the UES Defiance, Dr. Lisa Rodriguez was having her own breakthrough. She had been studying the alien transmissions for hours, slowly picking apart their language patterns. Captain Morrison, she called out excitedly. I think I'm starting to understand their basic communication structure. They're definitely trying to talk to us, but their language is completely different from anything on Earth. Morrison walked over to her station. What are they saying? It's hard to tell exactly, but I keep hearing words that might mean warning or danger. They're definitely afraid of us. Commander Greg Palmer, the ship's tactical officer, looked up from his console. Sir, I'm getting tired of this standoff. We've been sitting here for 6 hours. Maybe we should show them we're not afraid and move closer to their station. Absolutely not, Dr. Rodriguez said quickly. That would be the worst thing we could do. From what I can tell, they interpret any forward movement as aggressive behavior. Morrison nodded. The doctor's right, Greg. We need to be patient. But patience was something the Galactic Empire was running out of. Captain Yilnara commanded the Imperial cruiser Starwind, one of the ships now surrounding the human vessel. She had been a military officer for 20 years, but she had never faced anything like this. "Run another sensor sweep," she ordered her crew. "Captain, we've already scanned them 15 times. The results don't change." "Do it anyway. The results were the same as before. The human ship's weapons were clearly designed for maximum destruction. Its shields were stronger than anything the Empire could produce, and its power core generated more energy than most Imperial space stations. What Captain Yilnara didn't know was that the UES Defiance was actually an older model destroyer, one that Earth Command considered outdated. Its weapons were standard, military issue, designed to fight other human ships. Its shields were built to withstand human weapons. And its power core was smaller than those on Earth's newest vessels. But to the aliens who had spent centuries building ships for exploration and trade rather than war, the Defiance looked like the ultimate weapon of destruction. On the human ship, Lieutenant Amy Collins was getting increasingly worried about their fuel situation. "Captain, we're going to need to refuel soon if we want to make it back to the nearest human outpost," she reported. Morrison frowned. "How long do we have?" "At current power consumption, about 18 hours. But if we have to use our weapons, or shields, much less." This was exactly the kind of problem Morrison had hoped to avoid. They were supposed to be on a simple patrol mission, not stuck in a standoff with an alien empire. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her work. "Captain, I think I might have found something. The aliens keep broadcasting what sounds like diplomatic protocols. They're trying to establish formal contact, but they're following rules we don't understand." "What kind of rules?" "Well, it seems like they expect us to send a small, unarmed shuttle to their station first. That's how they usually make first contact with new species." Commander Palmer shook his head. "That sounds like a trap to me. They could capture our people and then demand we surrender." "Or," Dr. Rodriguez said patiently, "it could be their normal diplomatic procedure. Not every species thinks like humans." "Commander." Morrison considered this. Sending a shuttle would be risky, but it might be the only way to break the deadlock. Back in the Imperial Command Center, new reports were coming in that made the situation even worse. "High Counselor," an aide announced, "our deep space sensors have detected energy signatures similar to the unknown vessel in 3 other sectors. We believe there may be more of them out there." Zarthen felt his heart skip a beat. If there were more of these ships, the Empire could be facing a full-scale invasion. How many more? "We're not sure, sir. The signatures are very faint, but at least 3, possibly more. What the Imperial sensors had actually detected were routine Earth patrol ships, following their normal routes through unexplored space. But to the aliens, it looked like a coordinated attack force moving into position. "Send word to all military commanders," Zarthen ordered. "We are now at the highest level of alert. Begin mobilizing the Home Fleet." The Home Fleet was the Empire's most powerful military force, normally kept in reserve to protect the capital worlds. It had not been deployed in over 200 years. East. The Defiance, the crew was starting to feel the pressure. They could see more and more alien ships arriving, and the situation was clearly getting worse instead of better. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "I'm picking up massive amounts of military chatter. It sounds like they're calling in reinforcements from across their entire empire." Morrison stood up. "How many ships are we talking about?" "Based on the communication patterns, possibly thousands, sir." The bridge fell silent. The crew of the Defiance had always known they might face dangerous situations, but being outnumbered thousands to 1 was not something they had prepared for. Dr. Rodriguez broke the silence. "Captain, I think I need to try something. I've been working on a basic translation program. If I can establish two-way communication, maybe I can explain that we're not here to attack anyone." Morrison nodded. "Do it." But be very careful what you say. One wrong word could start a war. As Dr. Rodriguez began broadcasting her carefully, prepared message in broken alien language, neither side realized how close they were to a conflict that could destroy both civilizations. The humans saw the aliens as irrationally afraid. The aliens saw the humans as coldly calculating predators. And somewhere in the darkness of space, more ships from both sides were moving toward a confrontation that nobody wanted, but everyone seemed powerless to stop. Dr. Lisa Rodriguez pressed her hands against her temples, trying to focus through her growing headache. She had been working for 12 straight hours, trying to crack the alien language. The breakthrough came when she realized the aliens used emotional markers in their speech patterns. "Captain Morrison," she called out, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. "I think I've got it. I can understand some of what they're saying." Morrison hurried over to her station. "What are they telling us?" "They keep asking us to identify ourselves and explain our intentions, but they're also saying something about death ships and hunter species. I think they're absolutely terrified of us." Lieutenant Ben Harris, the communications officer, looked up from his console. "Dr. Rodriguez, I've been monitoring their broadcast to other ships. The word patterns suggest they think we're planning to attack their entire civilization." Morrison shook his head in disbelief. "We're one ship on a routine patrol. How could they think we're planning to invade anyone?" Before Dr. Rodriguez could answer, Commander Greg Palmer's voice cut through the bridge. "Captain, we have a problem. Long-range sensors are detecting a massive fleet heading our way. At least 300 ships, maybe more." Morrison felt his stomach drop. "How long until they arrive?" 6 hours, sir. And Captain, these aren't the small ships we've been dealing with. These look like heavy cruisers and battleships." The situation had just gone from bad to impossible. Morrison looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They were good people, trained professionals, but they were just one ship against an entire empire. "Sir," Amy Collins said quietly, "should we consider retreat? We could jump to hyperspace and report back to Earth Command." Morrison considered this. It would be the smart thing to do. But if they ran now, Earth would never know what had happened here. And the aliens might interpret their retreat as proof that they were planning something worse. "No," he decided. "We stay and try to resolve this peacefully." Meanwhile, on the Imperial capital world, Grand Admiral Thexville was reviewing the battle plans. He was the most experienced military commander in the Empire, a veteran of dozens of conflicts with pirates and raiders. But he had never faced anything like this. "Show me the analysis of their ship again," he ordered. Scientist Murdak, the Empire's leading expert on alien technology, activated the holographic display. "The vessel appears to be built entirely for combat. Every system is designed for maximum efficiency in battle. Their power distribution, weapon placement, shield configuration, it's all optimized for destruction." What Murdak didn't understand was that human military ships were built this way because humans had spent centuries fighting each other. The Defiance was designed to survive in combat because that's what military ships were for. But to the aliens who had never seen a true warship, it looked like something built by a species that lived only for war. "What about their communications?" the Grand Admiral asked. "That's perhaps the most disturbing part," Murdak replied. "Their language patterns show no submission signals, no fear responses, no acknowledgement of superior force. Even when surrounded by our entire fleet, they show no signs of backing down." Grand Admiral Thexville nodded grimly. In every species the Empire had encountered, there were natural responses to being outnumbered. Animals would submit or flee when faced with overwhelming odds. But these humans seemed to have no such instincts. Back on the Defiance, Chief Engineer Kate Murphy was having her own conversation with Dr. Rodriguez about the ship's systems. "Doctor, I don't understand why they're so scared of us," Kate said. "Our weapons are just standard plasma cannons. Our shields are basic deflector arrays. This ship is 20 years old." Dr. Rodriguez looked at the technical specifications Kate had pulled up. "Kate, what's the power output of our main reactor?" "About 400 terawatts at full capacity." "Why?" Dr. Rodriguez did some quick calculations. I've been analyzing their ship designs from the sensor data. Their largest vessels seem to have reactors that produce maybe 50 terawatts. Kate, our reactor is 8 times more powerful than their biggest battleship. Kate stared at her. But that's just a standard military reactor. Nothing special about it. To us, maybe. But to them, we must look like we have the power of a small star. The realization hit both women at the same time. Every piece of technology on the Defiance was built to human military standards. Standards developed through centuries of warfare between technologically advanced human nations. To the aliens, who had evolved in a peaceful galactic community, human military technology was beyond their comprehension. Dr. Rodriguez, Kate said slowly, if they think this is a powerful warship, what are they going to think when they find out about Earth's actual battle fleet? Before Dr. Rodriguez could answer, Lieutenant Harris called out urgently, Captain, I'm receiving a transmission. It's in their language, but Dr. Rodriguez's translation program is working on it. The bridge fell silent as the alien message played through the speakers. Dr. Rodriguez listened carefully, then turned pale. What did they say? Morrison asked. They're demanding that we surrender immediately, or they will destroy us to protect their civilization. They're giving us 1 hour to respond. Morrison looked at the tactical display. Hundreds of alien ships were now surrounding them, with more arriving every minute. The massive fleet was still hours away, but the ships already present were more than enough to destroy the Defiance. Can we fight our way out? He asked Commander Palmer. Palmer studied his console. Against this many ships? No, sir. We might take some of them with us, but we wouldn't survive. Morrison made a decision that would change everything. Open a channel. All frequencies, I'm going to talk to them directly. Sir, we don't know if they'll understand our translation program, Harris warned. Then we'll have to hope Dr. Rodriguez got it right. Morrison stepped forward and began speaking slowly and clearly. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United TU, Earthship Defiance. We are not here to attack anyone. We are explorers seeking peaceful contact with other civilizations. We have no hostile intentions. The translation program converted his words into the alien language and broadcast them across the sector. For a moment, there was silence. Then the alien fleets began responding. Dr. Rodriguez listened to the flood of alien voices, her face growing more worried by the second. What are they saying? Morrison asked. They don't believe us, Captain. They're saying that no peaceful species would build a ship like ours. They think we're lying to trick them into lowering their guard. Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. They were trapped in a misunderstanding that was spiraling out of control. Every attempt to explain themselves only made the aliens more suspicious. Sir, Amy Collins reported, the main alien fleet will be here in 4 hours. Based on the size of those ships, they could destroy us and probably level a small planet. Morrison looked around his bridge one more time. His crew was depending on him to find a way out of this mess. Earth was depending on them to make peaceful contact with alien civilizations, and an entire galactic empire was preparing for war based on a complete misunderstanding. The clock was ticking, and Morrison knew that in 4 hours, they would either find a way to convince the aliens they were peaceful, or they would all die, in the first battle of an interstellar war that nobody wanted. 3 hours remained until the Imperial fleet would arrive. Captain Morrison sat in his command chair, watching the alien ships that surrounded them. His crew worked quietly at their stations, all of them knowing that they might not live to see another day. Then Lieutenant Harris spoke up. Captain, I'm detecting a small vessel approaching from the edge of the system. It's not like the other alien ships. Morrison looked at the display. A tiny craft, barely larger than a shuttle, was moving slowly toward the Defiance. Unlike the warships around them, this vessel had no weapons and appeared to be very old. Sir, Dr. Rodriguez said, studying the new arrival, I'm receiving a transmission from that ship. The language pattern is different from the others. Older, more formal. Put it through, Morrison ordered. An ancient voice filled the bridge, speaking in heavily accented but understandable English. Human vessel, this is Elder Quindar of the Philosophical Council. I request permission to come aboard your ship. The bridge fell silent. After hours of failed communication, here was an alien who could speak their language. Morrison made a quick decision. Permission granted, Elder Quindar. We'll lower our shields and open our docking bay. Commander Palmer looked worried. Sir, this could be a trick. Maybe, Morrison replied, but it's the first real chance we've had to talk to them. 20 minutes later, Elder Quindar stepped into the Defiance's conference room. He was unlike any of the other aliens they had seen in the sensor readings. Where the others were tall and thin or small and quick, Quindar was ancient and moved slowly. His skin was pale blue, and his large eyes held a wisdom that came from centuries of life. Captain Morrison, the elder said, settling into a chair that had been adjusted for his size. I apologize for the behavior of my people. They are acting out of fear. Morrison leaned forward. Elder, we need to understand what's happening here. We came in peace, but your empire seems to think we're invaders. Quindar nodded slowly. That is because you are something we have never encountered before. In all our history, every intelligent species we have met evolved as prey animals. We learned to survive by hiding, by cooperating, by avoiding conflict. But you humans, you are predators. Dr. Rodriguez spoke up. We're not monsters, Elder. Humans can be peaceful too. I believe you, Dr. Rodriguez. But you must understand how terrifying you appear to us. Your ship is built for war. Your technology is designed for destruction. Your people show no fear even when vastly outnumbered. To species who learned that survival meant avoiding danger, you represent everything we have spent millions of years trying to escape. Morrison began to understand. So when we arrived, even though we meant no harm, you saw us as a threat to your entire way of life. Exactly. And the more your people tried to communicate, the more frightened we became. Your direct way of speaking, your refusal to submit when surrounded, your casual mention of your ship's capabilities, all of this confirmed our worst fears. Just then, Corporal Tony Garcia entered the room carrying a tray of food and drinks. The young Marine had been assigned to help with the meeting, but he paused when he saw the elder looking tired. Excuse me, sir, Tony said to Morrison. I thought your guest might be hungry. The trip over here was probably long. He set down the tray and poured a cup of water for Quindar. Are you feeling okay? You look a little pale. The simple act of kindness seemed to surprise the elder. He accepted the water gratefully and studied Tony's face. Thank you, young human. In my many years, I have learned that the truest measure of a species is not how they treat their equals, but how they treat those who are weaker than themselves. Tony smiled. My mom always said you can tell a lot about people by how they treat strangers. Quindar's eyes widened. Your mother taught you this? Sure. She said being strong means protecting others, not hurting them. The elder looked at Captain Morrison with new understanding. Your people teach their young to protect the weak? Morrison nodded. It's one of our most basic values. The strong should help the weak, not prey on them. For the first time since the crisis began. Quindar smiled. Then perhaps there is hope for us all. At that moment, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Admiral Susan Blake had arrived with 3 Earth vessels, responding to the Defiance's distress signal. But, to the aliens watching, it looked like the human invasion force had finally revealed itself. Captain, Lieutenant Harris called from the bridge. Admiral Blake is requesting immediate communication. She wants to know why we're surrounded by alien warships. Morrison looked at Elder Quindar. This is about to get much worse, isn't it? The elder was already standing. I must return to my people immediately. The arrival of more human ships will cause panic. But Captain, I now understand what your people truly are. You are not just predators. You are guardians. What do you mean? Every species we know learned to survive by running from danger. But humans learn to survive by facing danger to protect others. You are not just hunters. You are protectors. Quindar hurried back to his shuttle while Morrison rushed to the bridge to contact Admiral Blake. Admiral, we have a very delicate situation here, Morrison explained quickly. These aliens think we're invaders. Any aggressive action could start a war. Admiral Blake's voice was calm over the communication link. Understood, Captain. We'll hold position and follow your lead. But it was almost too late. The Imperial fleet had arrived, and Grand Admiral Thexville was preparing to attack what he saw as a human invasion force. Then Elder Quindar's voice rang out across all frequencies, speaking in the ancient language of the Empire. Dr. Rodriguez translated as fast as she could. He's telling them to stop. He's saying that humans are not invaders but guardians, that they're a species that evolved to protect the weak, not destroy them. The response from the Imperial fleet was immediate and chaotic. Hundreds of voices argued back and forth in the alien language. What are they saying now? Morrison asked. Dr. Rodriguez listened carefully. Some of them believe Elder Quindar. Others think he's been tricked or threatened. They're taking a vote. For 10 minutes, that felt like hours. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. Then Grand Admiral Thexville's voice cut through the chatter. Human vessels, this is Grand Admiral Thexville of the Imperial Fleet. Elder Quindar has convinced us to give you a chance to prove your peaceful intentions. We propose a cultural exchange program. You will send representatives to learn our ways, and we will send representatives to learn yours. Morrison felt the tension drain from his body. Admiral Thexville, we accept your proposal gladly. 6 months later, Captain Ryan Foster arrived at the new Joint Human-Alien Research Station with a cargo hold full of Earth's cultural treasures. Music, art, literature, and historical records that told the story of humanity's long journey from warriors to guardians. The Galactic Empire learned that humans had indeed evolved as predators, but they had used their strength to protect the innocent rather than prey on the weak. And humans learned that sometimes the greatest courage was not in fighting, but in choosing peace when war seemed inevitable. Elder Quindar, now serving as the first human-alien cultural ambassador, often told visitors the story of how a young Marine's simple kindness had prevented an interstellar war. In the end, he would say, we discovered that the most dangerous species in the galaxy was also the most protective, and that made all the difference.